This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, now ancient history? Okay, we're gonna speak now about some ancient history. So a little trivia. What happened exactly 1,000 years after Bnei Yisrael left Mitzrayim? 1,000 years was the main rise of Alexander the Great. So let's see, how many years were we in the Midbar?
40.
That you know. How many years were we in Eretz Yisrael before they built the Bayis Rishon?
Less than 1900.
Nobody knows. How many?
14 years in Polish New Zealand.
Yeah.
52 years.
Right. 440 years. 440. 40 in the Midbar, and 440 until they built Bayis Rishon. Exactly 440. The Navi says the day Shlomo built Bayis Rishon was 480 years. That's a pasuk in the Navi. So it's 40 in the Midbar and 440. Bayis Rishon stood how long? 410. So what are we up to? 40, 480, and 410. 890. 890. How many years in Bavel? We're up to 960. The Gemara says in Avodah Zarah that 34 years into Bayis Sheni, Alexander the Great rose to power. So we're now up to 994. 6 years later was the main ascendancy of Alexander the Great. Exactly 1,000 years after Yetzias Mitzrayim. We're going to speak a lot about Alexander the Great because until Alexander the Great, there were small Greek commonwealths. There was no centralized Greek power. But now I'm going to tell you a story with Alexander the Great and Reb Chaim Kanievsky. So you say, I don't think Reb Chaim Kanievsky ever met Alexander the Great. Lots of people went to Bnei Brak. Alexander the Great never made it. I'll tell you a story. Basically, there's a chassan and a kala. Right before the wedding, the chassan came down with Yana Machla. The couple came to the Ger Rebbe. What should they do? Should they go through with the wedding? So Ger Rebbe says, I can't tell you what to do. I don't know. There's only one person in this world who could paskin. Go to Reb Chaim Kanievsky. So they come to Reb Chaim Kanievsky with the most unusual request anyone ever asked of a gadol. The girl said, since he's sick, Nebuch, if I'm going to break off the engagement, who's going to want to marry him? It's not right for me to break it off. And he said, since I'm sick, it's not right for me to ruin this girl's life. So I have to break it up. So she wanted it, and he didn't want it. What? I mean, she should have killed him? That's always an eitzah, okay? So, that was the question. That was the question. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, I give you a bracha, you have to go through with it, you have to get married, and you're going to have children, and it's going to be b'bracha v'hatzlacha. So right before the wedding, Rebbe Yohanan told Reb Chaim, you're taking this wedding on your shoulders, you should really go to the wedding and be mesameach. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky goes to the wedding. It's a very rare occasion for Reb Chaim to go to the wedding. He went to the wedding, and everybody sang, Yom Yimei Melech Tois, fine. So finally somebody had the guts to ask Reb Chaim, how did he take it on his shoulders to go through with the marriage? Says Reb Chaim, I learned it from Alexander the Great. Where? It's a medrash in Parshas Noach. A medrash in Parshas Noach. Medrash goes like this. Alexander the Great wanted to learn wisdom, so he went to the community in the area of Papaya. In Papaya, the following din Torah came to the Caesar of Papaya. You had a guy who sold an ancient ruin. In the ruin, the buyer found a treasure. The buyer says, I bought the ruin. I didn't buy the treasure. I'm coming to return the treasure. And the seller said, I sold everything. I didn't think what was in it. I want him to have it. I sold everything. So the Caesar of Papaya said that the seller wants to give it, the buyer doesn't feel he should buy it. My idea is like this. The son of the seller should marry the daughter of the buyer, and they should both enjoy it. Why? Because when two people want to be mavater, it's always going to be a win-win situation. When two people who want to give in, each one wants to do what's best for the other, it's always a win-win. Says Reb Chaim, when I saw the kala wanted to do what was good for the chassan, and the chassan wanted to do what was good for the kala, I learned from Alexander the Great that they should dafka marry each other, and they're going to have banu of bnei banim. By the way, the Caesar of Papaya asked Alexander the Great, what would you paskin? Alexander said, I would kill the seller, I would kill the buyer, and I would take the money. So they said to Alexander, does it rain in your country? So he said, yeah. He said, I can't imagine it rains. In your country, there's no zechus that the rain should fall. And Alexander the Great was very touched and enamored by this psak. And from Alexander the Great, Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky derived halacha l'maisa, that if you have a situation where both parties want to do what's best for the other, it's going to be a win-win outcome. So that's a very important lesson, if there is one, that we could learn from Alexander the Great. In the year 1000, exactly, from the time we left Mitzrayim. Okay, thank you.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.